Hey everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today you all are in for a treat. I have a very, very special guest. This woman is phenomenal. She's impactful, she's insightful, and she's just so full of knowledge. And she's here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage to share some legal practices and some legal questions that have been plaguing us as a community. And so she's here to give back and serve her community in an incredible way. I know she's going to serve you all in the best way possible. This is going to be huge. So stay tuned, stay with us as we proceed. Here we go. Hey everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today we have Miss Shanelle Edmonds. She's a practicing attorney in the Pittsboro, North Carolina area, serving various counties in North Carolina. She believes in working closely with clients to advise, counsel, and represent them in various legal matters such as family law, estate administration, civil litigation, and business needs. Ms. Shanelle is a strong supporter of mentorship and building those in her community. She mentors incoming first-year law students to promote their academic success. This woman has a heart of gold. She has also coordinated the annual HBCU Pre-law Summit in North Carolina A&T State University to engage minority students in their ability to achieve success in the law school environment. Ms. Shanelle's tenacity is coming to us on Gentleman Style Podcast stage. Please help me welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing Miss Shanelle Edmonds.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone.
Hey, give her one more round of applause, y'all. She's phenomenal. How you doing today, Queen?
Oh, man, it's been a rough, long day. Friday, you think, you could get home or, you think you can relax Friday at work. No, today we were working. Working. It's been a pretty interesting day, to say the least.
That's huge. And that's a good point, right? And that's the thing. I guess the way I always flip stuff on the bright side is that it could be worse, right? We could not be working, right? Could be a slow day, and then it's like, well, what do I do with myself? Now I'm just here existing. So that's hope you get some rest this week, and I hope you're able to rejuvenate and recharge yourself. So thank you. Despite the week you've had, you're still joining us today, and I appreciate you for that. I want to say thank you, Queen. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here and hopefully pass some knowledge and have a great conversation.
Absolutely. You are phenomenal. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and one of the reasons why I reached out to you, is you are impactful. And just like I read off in your bio, that you're a giver, right? You're not just the average lawyer who's just here to make a quick buck, but you actually give back. And you inspire me. But what inspires you every day to get up and do what you do and give back and educate future law students and families and help families fight the legal system?
So I would say that first, I'm inspired by the people that I love. So seeing my mom and dad proud of me and proud that their daughter has grown up to be, what they could only hope for inspires me, because it wants me to keep making them proud, right? As parents, your biggest dreams are for your children to be successful in whatever they set their minds to, and to achieve more than you could have ever imagined. So fortunately, I did come from, a two-parent household that were pretty well off, but to say that, I am still a first-generation lawyer in my family, despite how educated my parents are. So being a part of just the 5% of Black lawyers, male and female, and for females, significantly lower than that, inspires me to keep going and moving forward and help anyone who's interested in, entering the legal profession, because even though I came from where I came from, no one was there to tell me how to apply to law school or what I need to do to get into law school or what I need to do to become an attorney and get the job that I want and how to network, because that's all our profession is constant networking. Um, so just my own personal development and journey within the profession inspired me to want to help those who are also first generation Black lawyers and their families too.
Yes, the ladies are feeling that. The ladies love it, and that's big, right? To step out into a industry that's, can I say this, but is dominated by men, and so you are leading the forefront. You're taking charge and stepping out and pushing forward. But not only that, you're giving back. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for saying that. That's
Yes,
huge.
it's a old profession that is still dominated by white men.
Mm. So you are, I want you, that's why I had to get you on the show again. I want you to now be the face that strikes fear in the heart of injustice. That's, sorry, I had to do that. That was like my Dark Knight impersonation. That was terrible. But
you attempted. It's fine.
appreciate you. Thank you for being so humble. What is a morning routine that you do, whether it be yoga? Successful people have morning routines that I've noticed. What's a morning routine that has led to your success in career and your business and practice in law?
So I used to not have one. And then I started trying to get in the mindset of what we call the millionaire morning routine, right? But I wanted to kind of make it, something that I can one sustain during the hustle and bustle of my life. So I think what is significantly important for me is that I have just enough time to kind of center myself. So honestly, I would say meditation. I do get up in the morning and do work out. So I probably get up at about 5 a.m. and will, yeah, it's a struggle. I'll say about 3 times a week. During the week, I can get up at 5 a.m. and work out, and then I will shower. And then once I've showered, I will sit down and I will meditate. So I have a journal that was gifted to me by one of my college friends, and I never wrote in it. And I said, I feel like this is a special journal. I just feel the energy emanating from it, and I'm just not meant to use it right now. So I got to a point where I felt like I could start writing in it. So once I finish showering from working out, I will turn on some meditation music. I will open the journal. I sit at a desk while the music is playing, and then I will, kind of write my dreams and desires and goals in the present tense while I'm listening to the music. And then I'll express gratitude for receiving what my desires are, even if I haven't already received them. And then I try to write down 3 things that I can control. So, we always wake up in the morning like, oh, I got to do this, this, and that. But I always try to write down 3 things that I can control, one of them being my attitude. And another thing being, tasks that are achievable for the day. And then I'll probably breathe for about 5 minutes, and then I go on about my day.
That's huge. That's huge. I love that. I love that. I love how you really reset. Not only are you starting your day off on a good foot, but you're also resetting from the previous day, so that you're creating the day's journey. You're creating the day's task, and you're releasing through that exertion. You're releasing the previous day and starting on a good foot. So I love that. That's huge. And so thank you for sharing that. That's something most people do the opposite, right? Most people would tell me is like, oh, I get up and get some coffee, or I get up and that sounds serene. That sounds peaceful. I wish I had some peaceful music. I'm gonna have to find some peaceful music for when we get you back on the show in the future. We can play that.
I do not drink coffee, and people are like flabbergasted when they hear that. I'm like, no, I don't drink coffee. I never drank coffee in law school. Like, they're like, how did you survive? I just didn't.
It's that no-dos. It's that no-dos.
Yeah.
That's commonly what I hear. Like law students, they're like sprung up on no-dos and other caffeinated medicines that could just keep them awake. So you went through the entire law school with no caffeine at all?
No caffeine at all. I did not drink coffee. And people really find that hard to believe, but
so what you all are not seeing, she's actually, you heard it, 3 days a week she works out and she meditates. So the reason why she's faded right now is because she's so diesel and she's so muscly, so you can't see that behind the screen. She's too buff for camera right now. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for that. That's huge, and thank you for expressing that. Many small businesses believe that they need an attorney on call to assist them with various legal matters that come up. But you do something different in your practice. Can you talk about, you offer packages. Can you talk about the packages and how that helps small business, and how does that work? And is it better than having you on retainer?
So I do a lot of small business work, and some of the small businesses that come to me, they're just starting off. So they're just creating their business, right? And a lot of small business owners who are just starting off don't really have the funds necessary. So they want to ensure that they're legally protected on the offset, right? So, generally speaking, we will do like a formation package. So you have your consultation. If you decide to move forward, your consultation fee is comped towards your service for your entity formation, your EIN. If you wanted to get an operating agreement, you can include that in. If you're getting an LLC, if you're starting a nonprofit, then you're getting your 501c corp set up. You're getting your conflict of interest policy, your bylaws, your EIN, and sometimes putting that together and putting one fee towards it, one gives them kind of an ease of mind that, okay, all of this is getting done. At this point, it's not something that I have to think about, oh, I forgot to do that, or oh, I forgot to do that, or do you handle that? Or if you do handle that, is that going to cost me extra? So that's kind of what we set our packages around on the offset, to kind of help those who are just starting off. Later on, though, I do have business clients who are a little bit more established who do like to just call me and say, hey, like perfect example, one of my clients, he has a race car company. So he purchases and sells race cars, and he gets ready for NASCAR. His business is very last minute stuff. So he'll find a race car and say, oh, I'm trying to get this race car. I need this purchase and sale agreement looked over or drafted, or I'm trying to sell this car. Can you do that? And that's very last minute. And he knows that once you're a business client, you're always a business client, and we just send you an invoice. We just send you an invoice in your email. So sometimes they start off just needing a little bit of legal protection to kind of get them going, and then once they're a little bit more established, then we go more towards a hourly retainer rate, because things change and will fluctuate, whether it's contracts or adding a new partner, or business relationships and things like that.
Thank you. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's huge. And because a lot of business owners that I've met, they typically, or a lot of lawyers that you meet, they treat it's almost like equal opportunity. They treat every client the same. Well, that's not true. Every business is not on the same level. There's a difference. There's a significant difference between a company that has 10 employees and a company that's just starting out. So pricing your business that way doesn't help the startup. And I understand people have business costs and business needs. And if you can't accommodate the full gambit, then you only want to stick to one type of clientele. That's fine. But what do you do when that clientele transitions, or they fade off, or they move on, or they leave the country, or they unfortunately pass away? Right? You still. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to be so morbid, but I mean the problem with that is that you're not getting fresh business because you're only catering to the affluent. So if you build a business completely around affluent people, which is 50, 60, 70-year-old men and women, eventually they're going to die off. And then what are you going to do? You're going to end up lowering your prices anyway because you need new, fresh business, so to speak.
Well, right. And part of our job is to assess what your needs are. So if someone comes in the office and, first of all, they're willing and able to pay something because they're willing to meet with you to pay the consultation fee. But part of the conversation then becomes, okay, well, what are you looking to do? What is the biggest concern? How do we get you where you need to be for the time being? So then when you get a little bit more money, then you can focus on these other avenues. It's all about planning and assessments, and trying to figure out, what cost efficient wise, what's going to put you in the best position to move forward. And there are some lawyers out there that will, drive up prices and stuff, which is why some of us get a bad name.
But not you. And that's why I had to get you on the show, because you are unique and you're different, but you're also necessary. Thank you for breaking that down. Give her a round of applause, y'all. We are going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels: Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level; Duke Duchess, which is our season level; and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. Hey everybody, if you are just tuning in, we have the incredible, amazing Miss Shanelle Edmonds Esq, and she is here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. She's giving back and sharing her wisdom, her nuggets, and the beautiful, beautiful thumbnail that she's sharing with us right now. But thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate you, Queen. You are phenomenal and you sound terrific. If you missed it, she spilled some very, very great nuggets earlier on in the show. She talked about what inspires her, of a successful routine that has led her in business, and why she does what she does, right? Giving back to the community, giving back to other law students, future law students, and how she particularly structures her practice so that she makes it affordable for the average beginning business as well as the advanced. So I love that. And she's here today giving back on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. Thank you for what you do. Miss Shanelle, diving right in. one of the things that you recently talked about, or one of the things that you recently do or focus on, is you're a lawyer and an activist. So you have two sides to you, and you're very active in your local community and the global community. In your experience, is racism today real, or is it just a figment of our imagination? Is racism just something that, we've made up? Is racism even in your profession? Do you see it happening even today?
Um, so I I don't know if I would call myself an activist per se, just because the legal definition of that is, a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. And I do not campaign, but I do advocate. I would call myself an advocate. And I do advocate for, those in my community and those who look like me. And, as a lawyer and as an advocate, I do believe that racism is very prevalent in today's society. So when we discuss racism, we are talking about the system and how it inherently oppresses minorities, right? And specifically Black individuals. So my mom told me a story about a friend of hers who had a son, his black son, who was, valedictorian in his high school. He was very involved, played sports, honors, AP classes, and then went on to college. When he came home from college, it was during a holiday break or something like that. He came home to hang out with his old buddies, and some of those buddies, all of them that he was hanging out with at that time, were white, right?
Mm.
Um, so they were hanging out at his friend's house, and then the night ended, and they decided, hey, we're gonna go run out for, whatever, are you down to come? He was like, sure, I don't have nothing else to do, I'm gonna come. Well, they didn't tell him that they were going to go rob a drug dealer. So the white people went to go rob a drug dealer, not thinking that they were going to snitch on them. So they all get in the car, pull up to the house, and they run out the car, no masks, nothing. The black kid is still sitting in the car, like, what the heck is going on? They go in the house, and they come out running, and the drug dealer is chasing them. And they get in the car and drive off. And the drug dealer snitched and told the police, this is what happened to me. And they all got put in a lineup. All of them got picked out, including the black kid. And the sad part is that despite the black kid's record, he has no criminal history, no criminal record, no pending charges except this. And even though he was sitting in the car, he got charged with armed robbery and is now in jail and got longer sentence than the white people who actually robbed the guy at gunpoint. So the point of that is, the system is flawed, and it has been flawed for a very long time, and it has been proven that people of color get harsher punishments, and it's crazy. And it's crazy for people to think that racism is dead or doesn't exist, because the justice system has proven that time and time again.
That's real. That's real. That's heartbreaking, and that's heartbreaking. And I obviously if she can't disclose who the gentleman is, but that's unfortunate and that's sad. Even in 2021, that we are still fighting this injustice. We are still having to call it out, and we're still having to now. To me now, it's just being recorded versus I think it's always been there. It's just now we're filming it and we're catching it on camera. We're catching it on body cams. We're catching it, on video, and it's being recorded now with the introduction of camera phones and video phones. So, I continue to do the good work, and I pray that we continue to fight this injustice and not be deterred by things like the story you just talked about. That's hurtful. Staying on topic, with your experience, with your experience in the law practice, George Floyd's killing, his murder, the police officer is now been sentenced. The biggest thing for me or my audience is, why did it take so long? Can you speak to that? Why did it take so long for that to ramp up to its final conclusion recently? Because George Floyd passed away, last year,
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't do criminal law, but what I will say is that for processes like this, first, obviously, there's an arrest and then there's a charge. And then these things have to go to a grand jury where the grand jury has to indict someone. And then once that person is indicted, then they go through they enter the court justice trial system, and a trial date is set. Dependent upon the facts, the evidence that is needed to be gathered on either side, and then what the court dockets look like, that determines when a trial date is set. So if there needed to be witnesses that they needed to get and depose, or if they needed to gather evidence or camera footage, like sometimes that stuff requires subpoenas. So if they're trying to gather recorded evidence, for instance, if it's on an iPhone, and maybe that person shared it to Facebook or shared it somewhere else, you got to subpoena Facebook. You got to deal with their legal team. And maybe Facebook's legal team is like, no, we're having a motion to quash the subpoena. We shouldn't have to provide this information. Or if you're dealing with someone like Apple, they're not allowing anyone, not even the FBI. So, sometimes these things take time, and then you have to schedule these motions to be heard. And then you're dealing with like your motions in limine if someone wants to argue that evidence shouldn't be shared. So there's a whole lot that goes into planning for a trial. Then you have to do your jury selection. Those jury duty notices have to go out, and it's a lot. People don't understand the prep that goes into a trial. Some people think, oh, the grand jury indicts you, and then the DA, gets their charges, and then you go to trial. No, there's a lot of stuff and evidence that has to be gathered, discovery, conferences, things like that. Maybe they offered him a deal at first, and he denied it. So then they had to proceed with gathering more evidence and getting their witnesses together. And if you're dealing with the police department, they're not willingly going to be witnesses, right? So
Right.
you have to subpoena the police department and deal with their attorneys to get those people to show up. And then on top of that, you're dealing with court records. You're trying to pull past criminal history. You're trying to get your theories and cases together. So there's a lot that goes into preparing for a trial, which is why sometimes it takes that long. As a DA, when you're charging someone, you want to make sure that you're charging them with the right crime. So some people, when bad things happen and someone's like, oh, this should be murder, this should be first degree murder. What people don't understand about the law is that it's not about what you feel, it's about what you can prove. So if you're trying to charge someone with first degree murder, oh, he should have been charged with first degree murder. Would the DA be able to prove the elements of first degree murder? Because in order to prove first degree murder, you have to improve, and I'm not a criminal lawyer, but you have to prove intent. You have to prove that it was premeditated and deliberated. And if you can't prove that premeditation and he's not found guilty, because all the defense has to do is disprove one element. whereas the DA has the burden of proof to prove every single element of that crime. So it's going to take time to research what can we prove in order to get him convicted. And if we were to select first-degree murder and the jury finds under the element of premeditation and deliberation that it was not an element that they could prove, then he's not guilty, and then you can't do double jeopardy. You can't be like, oh, well, let's try him on manslaughter, right? So it takes time to research these things and gather all the evidence and go through all the subpoenas and motions and discovery conferences and plea deals or denial of plea deals and interviewing witnesses, because they have to, one, figure out who was present, what cameras were available. If we figure out who's present, let me pre-interview them, see what they have to say. If what they have to say is going to be relevant to my case, then let me bring them on. And then there's all of these evidentiary rules. So if I interview that witness, is what they say going to be marked as hearsay and thrown out, and then the jury can't use that evidence to be heard? So when you're thinking about a case, it's a strategy. It's like playing chess. So in order to prove your case, you have to get the right people on the stand. In order to get the right people on the stand, there's a lot of prep that goes into that. So I'm sorry if I'm like talking forever, but
No, this is what we need.
It takes so long because if you want it done right, they have to go through the right steps to get there.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. That's major. And thank you for breaking that down so delicately. And that's the uniqueness. That's why she went to school, y'all. That's why she went to school for this, right? To prove those elements and define those finite points. And so that's why I had to get Miss Edmonds Esq on the show to break this down for us, because there's some confusion, right? There's a lot of people that's like, they're upset. And they have a right to be, right? I'm not saying that we shouldn't be upset or disappointed on why it took so long, but I needed that information, and you broke that down so delicately. I remember, and this was weird. I was taking a photography class, but the photographer was a lawyer, and she was talking law, even though she was teaching us photography. And she said, as a lawyer, your lawyer who's defending you is asking you questions. Well, what time did it happen? Did you do it at night? Did it happen? The biggest example is the O.J. Simpson case, right? We all saw that. And even if you didn't see it, you heard if the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit. That was probably an element that had to be proven, and it wasn't. And he was able to walk free. So that's the quickest example. Thank you for breaking that down for us so delicately, Miss Shanelle. We have one more commercial break. You guys stay tuned. Miss Edmonds Esq on the stage, Gentleman Style Podcast, giving back. Stay tuned.
Are you a local business looking to offer your customers easy access to cash without having to travel miles? We're here to help. At Norman Legacy Investments, we provide free ATMs with free installation that provide a suitable investment for your business. Even better, we offer you some profit sharing and handle everything from start to finish. Just reach out to us today to schedule a free consultation.
Hey everybody, if you're just tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast show, we have Miss Shanelle Edmonds Esq breaking down law for us. And she is so knowledgeable, so experienced, and she's so thought-provoking. She's making me think, and she's making me feel like I need to get my paperwork straight for this company and get my business right. She's here to help us get to a better state and a better prime and get to a better business venture. And she just broke down, if you missed it, why the George Floyd case took so long, even though, gotta put the disclaimer out there, she's not a criminal attorney, but she has the experience enough to talk about the justice system and the processes that we go through. So that's huge. Miss Shanelle, breaking it down, I have to ask, you did a TikTok video on this, and I have to ask that you can actually sue the side chick, right, in a marriage. So I need some explanation on that TikTok video. How is it possible that someone can sue a side chick?
Oh man, this stirred up a lot of controversy.
It did. It did.
So I was referring to a law that is in North Carolina, which surprisingly, if I may add, there was a bill put before the North Carolina legislation to remove this law, and it has been denied as of today. So the law is still in effect. And the main reason the main reason is to protect marriage. So in order to understand this law, you have to understand why we get married. And a lot of people don't understand what the point of marriage is. So if I go back way back in the day, people were getting married not for love, right? Eventually the love would come. They're getting married to build a legacy. They're getting married to build assets. They're getting married for familial alliances and to, increase their status in society. That was the whole purpose of marriage, having legitimate kids and building a marital estate. Love is it's the icing on the cake, right? And a lot of people in today's society, we have evolved to get married for companionship and love, but we're not properly vetting who our partners are. So if you talk about the number one reason for divorce, because I am a family attorney, the number one reason for divorce across the country is finances. Surprisingly, in North Carolina, it's infidelity. But across the country, it's finances, right?
Right.
So people are not thinking about these things when they're getting married. They're not thinking about the responsibilities and institution of marriage. So with marriage comes certain privileges and protections, right? So I had to break it down to someone in the comments of my TikTok video and say this: if you own a business, right?
Right.
You own a business. You and your partner are entering this business with the expectation that your business is going to grow, that your business is going to accrue assets, that your business is going to expand, right?
Right.
So you enter into that business relationship. You guys have an operating agreement, or you have some sort of bylaws that govern your business. And if for some reason you were to end that business relationship, what happens? It's valued and it's divided and split between the two of you, correct?
Correct.
In the same instance of that business, if you have a third party that comes to the business and your business partner is giving that third party money without your consent, guess what? They both may be going to jail. Right? That third person has willfully entered into that business and accepted the business assets, knowing that that business was not theirs or there to benefit them. So it doesn't matter, oh, my business partner gave that money willingly, I'm gonna just sue him. No, you're gonna go after the money from that third party too. So in connection with a marriage, the marriage, you are building assets. That's why when people get divorced, they don't understand what the term separate, marital, and divisible property means. Your marital property is everything that you've accrued and grew during the marriage, and when you divorce, is subject to equitable division. So what happens and how North Carolina views marriage, and this law was actually put in place to protect women. People were in the comments talking about misogyny at its best. No, women were at home. They were being homemakers. They were not working. So their husbands were out here going off and doing whatever, when at one point before the church got involved in the marriage, men could have concubines, right? They could have their side pieces galore. And then at some point the church stepped in and one man, one woman, or the marriage is between the spouses. So that's a marital contract. You are contracting with each other, saying that I will not be with anybody else. You will not be with anybody else. And together we are going to grow. And if we divorce, it's going to be divided, right? Well, you have this side piece, because it applies to men too. You have this side piece who is like, oh, that person's married. I know they're married. I don't have to be loyal to them. I didn't enter into that contractual relationship. How North Carolina views it is that institution is protected like a business would be protected. So if you come into that marriage and you're accepting marital property. Marital property, it doesn't matter whose name is on what. Even if your name is on your bank account and her name is on her bank account, it's marital property. So if he's out here buying hotel rooms, he's flying you out, buying you flowers, buying you this, that, and the third, you are willingly accepting a benefit of the marriage that was not contracted with you. So if you can willfully accept those benefits of the marriage, if that marriage dissolves, just like he has to pay out, you have to pay out. That's how that law is meant to be used. So it's like me saying, oh, I'm going to go get this bread, but I'm not going to pay for it. I'm just going to walk out the store with it. No, I'm getting the bread. I have to pay for it. So this law is saying if you're going to enter into the marriage and accept the benefits of the marriage, you're going to accept what happens when that marriage dissolves because you have now entered into that union. So that's what it is. And in order to succeed on this, and surprisingly enough, this law is also called the MotherInLaw Statute, meaning mother-in-laws who don't like their sons' wives and will alienate their sons from their wives. Guess what? You can get it too. So it's not just for the side pieces. It's for anyone who is alienating a spouse from their spouse. And in order to succeed on it, you have to prove that there was just some genuine love and affection. People were like, oh, you have to be perfectly happy. No, that's not true. There just has to be some genuine love and affection. So if husband comes to you and says, I'm not happy, okay, but then he's still knocking the boots with you, or you guys are still going out on dates and you're appearing happy to the public, that is some genuine love and affection. And if that side piece is the cause of that affection to be alienated, whether he's being rude to you now, he's acting different, he wasn't acting like this before, he's not coming in the house until 4:00 in the morning, or he's not coming in at all, then you may have some sort of claim for alienation of affection. You don't have to have sex with this statute. That's what criminal conversation is. So if you have had sex with a married person, then alienation of affection is kind of already met at that point. Like the act of alienation is already there. So you've proved one element if there is actual sexual intercourse at that point, but it's not required to prove and succeed on this statute. Another thing too is a lot of people were like, oh, well, what if she doesn't know that he's married? If she doesn't know that he's married, then this law doesn't apply to you. But you don't necessarily have to be the one pursuing the married person. If the married person is pursuing you, tells you they're married, and you still engage with them, you can be held liable under this statute too. Because at that point, it's becoming willful on your part. It's it's like conversion. People don't understand why we get married, so they don't understand why this law applies. The idea of marriage has just changed so much, which is why the divorce rates are so high, because people don't understand that union and what it's for. Yes, you love them. Yes, you know, that comes with time, or you want companionship, but you don't need to be married for loyalty. You don't need to be married for companionship. You don't
What?
need to be married for love. That's not why you get married.
Cancel all side chicks, y'all. Get rid of them. They're useless. You get rid of all side chicks. Get rid of all side boos. Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
powerful.
it
Erica
is.
Williams in the audience says, sue their butt off. All right.
Yeah, and you. So the other thing about this law too is like, people are like, well, if they don't have money, then it's not worth it. And that could be true to some extent, but at the same time, if you have a judgment entered against you, you can't own anything over $5,000. That's car, that's home. The moment your bank accounts get over $5,000, it's getting divested. So if someone really was like, it's the principle that counts and you just won't own anything ever in your life, that could happen too.
Wow.
But it just depends on what the person is doing. Recently, there are several cases pending right now for alienation of affection in North Carolina. The most recent one was 2019, and a man was awarded $750,000 against his wife's side dude, who was a doctor. And then in 2018, this one got appealed and was affirmed by the Court of Appeals. A woman won $65,000 from her husband's side piece, who was her friend. She was a friend in her wedding.
What?
In her wedding, and had a child by her husband. So the courts awarded her $65,000.
Wow. There you have it, y'all. There you have it. Miss Shanelle Edmonds just broke it down for us and showed us that this is a real thing. This is not made up. It's not imaginary. You can sue the side piece. Miss Edmonds, how can people connect with you? How can people grow with you and learn from you and continue on your law practice and your journey?
So you can find me at SK Esquire on Instagram. Obviously TikTok, Coco Chador. And then if you needed any legal advice, if you have a business or anything like that, www.hoppercummings.com, and our email is info@hoppercummings.com.
This is powerful. This is powerful. Miss Edmonds, you have inspired me and you have encouraged me and you have encouraged my audience today. I thank you for what you do, sister. And I hope that you continue on the path to what you're doing, because this is big and what you're doing is necessary in the world. So please don't ever quit. And I just wanted to say that to you publicly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed being on here.
I enjoyed having you. Give her a round of applause, y'all. They love you, and thank you for what you do. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to join us. And I want to say thank you all, my audience, for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this message has served you in some way possible, and I hope this helps, right? Get rid of all the side pieces, get rid of all the side boos, get rid of those chicks or guys, right? Guys, stay away from them, lock them down, and just be faithful to your marriage, right? Stay engaged to who you are and who you're connected to, and love on them. Well, unless you're in North Carolina, which love is not required. I'm kidding. But love who you are with and focus on them. So thank you. Like I end every show, take care of your family, take care of your friends, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman and Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and Miss Shanelle Edmonds Esquire signing off. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.